All right, looks like we just kicked off the event. Let's do a quick tech check. Can you guys hear us? Drop it in the chat. If you don't know where the chat is, it is on the right-hand side. Okay, people are dropping in. Loud and clear, perfect. So for those of you that haven't been to a Workflow Live yet, the Workflow Live events are all about helping you build better workflows. This is a recurring series where we bring in real firm owners that share their real workflows that they use in their firm. So you can get ideas and tips on how to build better workflows and level up your firm. But the cool thing about these events is not only will you see the workflow, if you like it, you'll be able to add it to your Financial Sense account and implement it in your firm and customize it to fit your processes. But today we're going to go deep into an exciting new workflow. We're going to be able to answer a lot of your questions and help you better understand how you can build better workflows. And ultimately, our goal here is to help other firms build better workflows through community and collaboration. So if you haven't heard about it yet, one of the things that spawned this, and I'm going to drop the link in the chat so you can check it out and I'll share my screen, is our community-driven template library. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. And this is that, right? So this community-driven template library is a place where real firm owners are sharing their workflows. You can view them, see the processes they have in place, and if you like it, you can add these templates to your account. And that's what's really created the Workflow Live events, is people that have shared these templates, coming on, talking about these templates, going deeper in them, and really help encouraging others to share. So I want to say that if you get value out of today's session, I would encourage you to go and share your workflow templates to the community-driven library, because the more you share, the more others will share, and the more we all benefit together. And if you're interested in doing that, inside of Financial Sense, when you're viewing your templates, you'll see how a shared template option where you can share it to the template library. So now we got all that out of the way, let's kick things off real quick. So today I'm excited to introduce Lori Hawkins, the owner of L&L Bookkeeping. Lori, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you here again. You've been here before.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your firm to kick off, so they know a little bit about what your firm does, and then tell us a little bit about the workflow you're going to be sharing today and why you decided to talk about it.
All right, my firm is L&L Bookkeeping. We're out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. We're a small little firm, but we specialize on being our clients' accounting departments. So we have a unique way of doing business with them. We get individual emails from every client, accounting with their domain, that type of thing. And we act as their accounting department every day of the week. We do not do tax returns, so we're a little bit different in that respect. But we really love what we do. We have a lot of passionate people on the team. So today we're going to talk about client disengagement. And before I share my screen and go through my template, talk a little bit about disengagement. It is okay to disengage with clients. I have a lot of people I talk to with other firms that say, gosh, I hate to let people go, either the cash flow, just not having enough clients to fill their bookkeeper's hours and that type of thing. But if you have a client that's not paying their bills, they're not adhering to your core values of your firm, they're causing your own staff stress by keeping them on. It's just not worth it. So we have in our firm a grading system for our clients. We use the Financial Sense About section to have a very specific custom field called grade. So every quarter, our whole staff gets a project that pops up that tells them to go through their client list and regrade all of them. This allows the operations manager to look at the grades of our clients, and if they're a newer client and they got a bad grade, what can we do to help them improve so we can keep them? But they're consistently getting bad grades and we're having trouble working with them, we are going to disengage. So I'm going to share my screen and we are going to look at the template that I'm going to be presenting today.
And while you share that, Lori, I want to touch on that too, because we were talking about this earlier before the session started, that a lot of people talk about onboarding clients, but not enough people talk about the offboarding. And and the disengagement. And it's really hard to let a client go. But in any business, like, you have those clients that can be a pain in the butt, and like they end up costing you not just money, but your mental sanity. So it is really important to talk about this. And that's why I'm excited that you're going to share this workflow, because not only do people just not do it, but people that still do it, they may not have a good process for it. And it's just as important that your offboarding is just as efficient as your onboarding. So really excited to take a look at this.
Yeah, very true, Shahram. It's exciting to get clients, and it's heartbreaking to lose them, but it's also good for your firm to clean house once in a while.
Yeah.
And you're right, the mental part of it is a big deal. I don't want my staff coming to work every day dreading that they have to work with a particular client. So I'll just start step by step here. And before I get going, there are roles in these spots here. When you download a template from the template library, you'll see some roles, but as you download it, the roles go away because every firm can put their own roles in here. So you can manage your roles here and have whatever roles will pertain to what you do, what your firm does. So I'll kind of explain as I'm going along who's doing what, and you can customize that to your own firm. The first task would be just adding the client's name and the project name. I had at one point, I had 3 disengagements going on at the same time. And in my list of projects on my screen, I do not want to just see client disengagement 3 times. I really would like to be able to pick it out pretty quickly. So I like to put their name in the title here. So very simple. A meeting is going to be between the operations manager and the lead bookkeeper for that client to determine the termination date. We have 30-day contracts. We have to give 30 days notice, but there are times if it's right during tax season or you're wrapping up a month end, you might be generous and say you have 6 weeks, but that would be during the meeting. Then the final service date is added to the project name. So you would have XYZ company, client disengagement, and put the final day on here. That's going to be important for some of the other steps that I'm going to go over, but it's a great visual so you know how much time is left. The next task is for the operations manager to add the due dates for all the tasks in this project. And I note that most of these will not be able to be completed until the final week of service. There's a lot of wrap up that has to be done. And when you're still working on everything, it really takes till the last week to get some of these things done. Then I made a note to send a client initial and disengagement email. Hopefully you've been already communicating with this client, trying to help them improve, and they know there are issues. This is not going to come as a surprise to them. I put a sample letter here called client disengagement letter number 1. And you'll see in the file section here, I have 2 letters, sample letters that I have attached here to use for this particular template. So the operations manager will pull that down, she'll do a copy, and she'll be able to add in some additional information and send it out to them. Then we're going to notify the firm bookkeeper. So our L&L bookkeeper who does our firm bookkeeping, we have to let her know when the client's last charge date is going to be and any special instructions about the last invoice. There may be some oddities with subscriptions we may be covering for them or anything special. Then here, the firm bookkeeper sends the client the final invoice. And I switched over to the firm bookkeeper here. And then she checks it off when the final invoice has been paid. I prefer the final invoice to be paid before we do some of the additional shutdowns, giving them information, that type of thing. The next step, the final week of service, an email backup is made for the individual client email. So I had mentioned earlier that we have separate emails for every single client to act as their accounting department. We would like to make a backup of all that, and it's more to cover us. We haven't had anybody disgruntled leave yet that's come back later to say, hey, you didn't do this or that, but I want to have that security and have that PST file backup. So here the lead bookkeeper would make the backup in Outlook and email it to the admin. Then we're going to save that backup and put it in our firm Dropbox. And I made a note here, we have Smart Vault for our document management right now. We have some files also in Financial Sense. We're going to get to that point where we're probably just going to start using that vault for everything. But for now, we need to put this in a separate firm Dropbox because Smart Vault doesn't accept PST files. So I just made a very particular note about that. Next, we're going to export the passwords from our password manager for the client, and we store it in the client's main Smart Vault folder. We're going to ask the client to do a backup eventually. We want to make sure they have all their passwords and everything is in one spot for them. Then their lead bookkeeper is going to go to the QuickBooks payroll and make sure if they have payroll that our firm name is taken off all the payroll settings. I can't tell you how many times I still get an email from QuickBooks saying that the payroll's due or something is going on with payroll for a client that I haven't had for a year. So there are several settings area in payroll settings. There's an email notifications and a contact information area. The name of the firm has to be taken off all of those. And if you don't do it before you disengage, you're going to continue to get reminder emails about that client. So just a little tip there. If there's other payroll providers, get our firm name off their contact list as well. And then here, any payroll registrations or other registrations with our firm or owner name is taken off. So I have some subtasks here. Governmental agencies that we deal with, and I just put our Michigan ones here. You may have others, but I'm saying add any additional government agencies on these subtasks, put the dates that we were removed and any confirmation numbers next to it. So we know they're completed and we have some proof that we did that part of it. And then store all that confirmation documentation in our Smart Vault payroll folder for that client. Then there's another email that goes out to the client. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. We're wanting them to export all of their files from Smart Vault. We store every copy of every bill, receipt, legal documents, tax information. Everything is in Smart Vault. We'd like them to have it to make that a better transition for whoever's going to be doing their books. Yes, yet. So I have a client, another disengagement letter number 2. This specifies the exact instructions on how for them as a client to export everything out of Smart Vault. But I also have additional instructions, and you can tailor this to what you may have going on, but I'm asking them to take us off of QuickBooks. Your passwords are in your export. Make sure you take us off all the secondary banking and credit card logins, and then change your email password. We're not going to monitor it anymore. So that's the letter number 2. Now with this, some people have trouble. I had a client just recently, he sold his business and the owner had another bookkeeper. And he said, I cannot do the export. I have a Mac and it's not acting right. So I have given some additional instructions for our admin to make sure that they get what they need. Either we can zip it down and attach it to a Financial Sense client request in this project, or we can back it up to a thumb drive, put a password on it, and FedEx it out to them. And I put on here, put your tracking number and the date you sent it out in this task. Sometimes a project is closed and we're wondering, they might say later, hey, we never got that. And we can open this back up and see what the tracking number is and what date we sent it out. It's just a helpful thing to have the information right here. The next step is archiving the client in Smart Vault. So I have very particular subtasks on how to go into Smart Vault and archive the client after they've received their backup. So all these steps here, you may not have Smart Vault, so I won't go through all of them, but just to know that you have this type of resource. Next is we're going to notify the client's accountant that we have disengaged as of whatever date. We want them to know this because we will get emails the next tax season asking if it's all ready to go for them to start doing their tax prep. And so by notifying them, it just alerts them that they're going to have to be working with another bookkeeping firm for that client. Next up, it's optional, but I have, if the client has a review on our firm website or a Pro Advisor site, for them to talk to me to see if we need to take it down. I haven't had anybody leave in not a good state, so I haven't had to do this yet, but it might be a good thing to think about if it didn't go well. They might not want the review to be on your site. So just a little reminder there. Delete the passwords from our password manager. They are backed up, they're archived, no one can get to them anymore unless we reinstate the client in Smart Vault, but we want to delete the passwords from our password manager when we're done. And then we use QuickBooks Time, and we have to go to customers. We have to take the access off for everybody, so no one is doing anything with that yet. And also taking the client off our contact list or CRM program. If you do regular emails, newsletters, any of that, you're going to want to keep your current contact list very clean. So make sure you take your client off of that program. They're no longer going to be receiving information from you. In our bookkeeping, our firm bookkeeper will be looking at QuickBooks to see if that customer has a flat rate recurring invoice. And if so, delete that from reoccurrences so they don't get another invoice from us later by mistake. Then we're going to be taking the access off for the client for any staff member that had access to their QuickBooks account in the team settings. We have quite a few times that we ask someone to take us off as their accountant user in QuickBooks, and they just forget, and we're on there forever. So we want to just make sure that nobody can go in there anymore. We can't accidentally click in and be able to look at anything because we're no longer doing work. And then inactivating the client from QuickBooks altogether. It's just another reassurance that we're not going to, by accident, click into the wrong client and have some activity going on. And then finally, the financial sense close down. So how to go through this. And I have on here, and Shram, you'll have to let me know if maybe things have changed since I've done this template. But if they have the uncategorized transactions, the recap module, we want to go to that area and we want to make sure that we disconnect it so that license is freed up to use for someone else. I had not done this when I had disengaged before, and I had to kind of reactivate them and then disconnect from that so we had a license. And then we inactivate the client, not delete. So it keeps everything in place just in case something happens. Maybe they call and beg you to come back. I don't know. But you would have that information back again. And sometimes there are certain things you do for a client that are very special. You might get another client that you need the exact same thing, and you could possibly reactivate that client, go back, find that item, and you can duplicate that for your new client. So I'd never like to get rid of everything permanently. And this little area is for in case you do have a small enough backup that you can send to the client and have them download it right from Financial Sense. So that's it for my template today. I'll stop sharing here.
Yeah, that was very detailed. I didn't realize there's so many steps that go into disengaging a client. I'm curious, people that are listening in, do you oh yeah, by the way, if you're interested in this template, you can get it. There's a little prompt right below me, I think. It's called Get Template. But drop it in the chat. Do you have a workflow for disengaging clients already? I'm curious. Is this something that you built out in your firm?
Yeah, I love looking at other people's templates because many times I see something I never thought about. And so it's great to do that. And even using AI to create templates, I've tried it just to see if there's something that I didn't think about as well.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of people haven't thought about building a template like this, which I mean, I get, right? It's something you don't really think about a lot of the time, right? You're always thinking about onboarding new clients and servicing those clients, but offboarding them is important too, especially if you don't want to, you want to scale the practice and delegate that work. And I'm going to drop in the chat the template just because some people are not seeing the Get template, but there's a link if you're interested in this, you can add it to your account. Is there any questions for Lori about the template? Anything that you saw that you have questions about, you want to know more about, or just questions you have for her in general around disengagement? Let's see. How do you know when the client does not want to pay the bill?
Yeah, we have a specific timeline. If they are behind, when it gets to the 60 to 90 day range, we're reaching out to find out what's going on. I mean, most of the time, because we're doing their books, we already know if there's a cash flow problem. We have obviously a lot of visibility, but if it gets close to that 90-day mark, then we start cutting off services until they catch up. And I've had to do that only once, thank goodness.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So someone said they didn't see the letters in the template. Is
Does
that
that not, when I upload the template, do the attachments for the files, did they come through?
You know, it may not, now that I think about it. But what we can do is, Lori, if you're interested in sharing them, is we can send them out to the people that attended the webinar and a follow-up email.
Sure.
It's something that we can do. So it doesn't look like it's included in the template when you share it to the library. So you'll still be able to get those. We'll send them to you in a follow-up email. Any other questions, Lori, about the Workflow Live and the template she covered today? Let's see. In the beginning, you said you changed the name of the client's name. Why would you do that? So yeah, there's some more questions coming in. So someone asked, you talked about you added the client's name to the project. In financial sense, there is the client name next to the project title. Is there a reason you also add it in the title?
I visually like to see it and the last date in the title. It's just how I like to see it. Again, do what you want to do. If you don't need that, then you can definitely skip it. Oh, and I saw another question here about what is a PST file. We use Outlook for as many emails as we can because we have lots of emails that we're monitoring. And that's a backup file in Outlook for exporting all the emails and all the folders and everything that goes with it.
Okay. And then, so there's also a question from Stuart. What happens when you rack up time against your flat rate and what you do then? I don't know if I fully understand that question, Lori, do you?
Does he mean maybe this whole disengagement thing?
I think maybe when to know if you're on a fixed fee, like when to disengage. If that's the case, if you're using the effective hourly rate inside of Financial Sense to track like how much you're making on an hourly basis, it can help you identify which clients are becoming unprofitable for your firm. And that could be a sign for disengagement. Stuart, let us know if we're answering you the question or we're understanding your question right.
And I see Bonnie said, any advice about bad reviews via Google review or other sites? I have been doing terrible with my marketing because I've always had a waiting list, and I'm just starting to review marketing firms right now. And that's one of the things one of them said is you need to get Google reviews up for your firm. But I haven't even gotten into how to handle bad reviews in Google. That's definitely, marketing is not my bag.
When it comes to bad reviews, though, I have heard, like my experience at least when working with customers, because it does happen in our business too. There are just some customers we have that just it's not working, right? We're not the best fit, or there's just a misalignment. And what I've seen is as long as you communicate, like it's not a surprise. So like you're not just, hey, we're disengaging with you and it's coming out of nowhere. There is some form of visibility and communication in advance of, hey, if this continues, we're gonna have to look at disengaging with you as a client, just because one, maybe we can't deliver the service that you're looking for, or there's just a misalignment, whether it's you or them. And if you can give that up front, and there's no surprise, like, hey, we're disengaged, we're dropping you all of a sudden, there's usually no bad review, right? They understand, and they've had the time to think about that, and they're not. I think what causes bad reviews is they're surprised. They didn't see it coming. So just communication and visibility really help prevent stuff like that when you're disengaging a client. That's what we've seen with our business, at least.
And I try to write my disengagement letters, a little bit more detail than the file attachment that I had put on this template, is to maybe give a few more details. I've had some conversations with them already, and I usually try to make it more positive with them. Like, obviously this is not working out and I want the best for your firm. And it's probably best that you get somebody in-house or whatever the reason is, because I don't want to leave a client and have them feel like they weren't being listened to and taken care of.
Yeah, definitely. So Stuart is giving us some more context. And Stuart, it sounds like there's solutions I've seen firms how they handle this. So so in terms of like maybe you start with a fixed fee with a client, but realize like the work takes longer than expected, and then when you need to go and request payment from the client tries to haggle you down. So one thing I've seen a lot of firms do is they start on hourly for like a few months, understand the work. That way they get paid for the work. and then they set a fixed fee after the fact once they have a better understanding of the books and how long it's going to take. So that is
That's
one
what we
method.
do too.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what you do? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So that's a really good method I've seen. Other than that, like collecting a deposit up front is always great. Is there anything else that you've seen people do, Lori? Or is that typically the
Well, we
best?
just started doing the deposit up front because we want to make sure we're going to do a lot of cleanup work in that first 30 days. And I do not want to get, no payment for what we've done. And then we apply that, I think, to the second invoice we started doing. But yeah, we're hourly. And then when we know we have a good rhythm, all the processes are done in financial sense, everybody knows what they're doing. And then we do an estimate of not an estimate, we give them a quote of a flat fee per month at that.
What are you using so Stuart's wondering, what do you use to invoice the client?
Right now we're using QuickBooks Online. We're just doing the invoicing through that. I know Financial Sense just came out with their billing module, so we actually have our ops manager looking at that as well. My firm has been very slow to do all the modules in Financial Sense. There's so many wonderful things and there's so many improvements all the time. So we are just taking it step by step, and I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know our billing module we released at the end of last year, but we've been focusing on building out so you can do the deposits. Stuart, you mentioned you write up and write down time. You can do that in our system, and we show like the realization, so you can identify the clients that maybe you're not invoicing well for, and that are potential disengagement clients, as well as track profitability. Which is also very interesting. So I would check that out if you're looking for something to do all of that capability and have it like centralized in one place and integrated. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, Deborah, it could replace Ignition if that's what you're currently using, save you some money on the subscription fee. Okay, looks like there's no other questions, and we're at the top of the 30 minutes. Actually, no, there is one. So Katie has questions about your client grading process. Could you give some more insights into how you actually grade the clients?
It's pretty simple. We just have in the About section in Financial Sense a spot for client grade, and every quarter, each staff member gets a project notification in Financial Sense saying that we would like them to go through all their client base and grade their clients in A through E. So obviously the A and B ones are doing great, but we start seeing D's and E's. We're not happy about that. And that's where we start to have conversations with our clients and try to change and get that grade up. If we constantly see there's a struggle, a bad grade, then that's when we look at the disengagement. I don't know if I answered that question.
So someone did ask where you put the grade, and if I remember correctly, you use the custom fields, correct?
Yeah, the custom fields in the About section for each client on their dashboard has an About section, and we have our custom fields there. A lot of people have like their EIN number, their tax type, that type of thing. We've added client grade to that as one of our fields.
Okay. How much normally is the deposit up front? Is there like a best practice for that? Like,
for me,
percentage-wise,
smaller clients, I may only do like a $500 deposit if their books are in really good shape and we're not having to do a lot of changes. But I've had some clients that I've asked for a $3,000 deposit because they're like 2 years behind in cleanup. And I know it's going to take us so many hours. It may not cover everything, but at least there'll be something for our time.
I love that. That's good advice. Okay. Well, we're at the 30-minute mark. Lori, I want to thank you for joining us today for the Workflow Live and sharing your template. And if anyone has any other questions, feel free to reach out to our team. And then maybe if you have any other questions, we can ask them for Lori and get back to you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Bye.
And I think we're still live. We'll go backstage in a second.
I have to get those 5